Kiernan Dewsbury Hall is now reaching his peak, and we know he's more than capable for your typical box to box midfielder with skills both defensive, offensive. He has a range of passing and has certainly got good ball control. But so he certainly would suit a mid table Premier League side. I mean, is Neil Maupay actually a loss considering how bad he was with Everton? I don't think so. For me, they've only strengthened, and therefore I won't be surprised with seeing Everton in mid-table again in 11th. 10th, Wolverhampton Wanderers. I have a weirdly positive feeling about Vitor Pereira, who has been solid with Wolves so far and could quite possibly be the next Nuno for the Black Country side. Fernando Lopez is another signing for the future. Just hope he's not the new Fabio Silva, eh? Larson was a must to make permanent, especially with Cunha going, because Larson scored, I think it was 14 goals last season, and I think it could have a phenomenal season this season, probably scoring 20 plus goals. David Wolf has been consistently above average with Alkmaar, so if he can come in and contribute to the weakest area of the pitch, they've really plugged a gap in there, haven't they? So, as stated, the only losses I see so far are Cunha and Ait Nori. Jose Sarr or Larson are probably the best players at the moment. As I already said, this squad is relatively obscure and could potentially be the surprise dark horses this season to finish bang mid-table, despite many tipping them for relegation. Ninth, Crystal Palace. The FA Cup winners are certainly a force. I think they can be very strong this season with another challenge for Europe, and I highly suspect they will win the Conference League. Oliver Glasner is a hugely successful manager who has just won the Europa League. Well, not just, but he won the Europa League before he came to Palace and took them to their first major honour ever. So just look at that starting lineup as well. You've got Dean Henderson, who is probably a strong possibility for England's starting keeper for the World Cup. And he made two superb saves, for example, to win Palace the Community Shield against that strong Liverpool side very recently. Daniel Munoz is a very consistent right back. Tyrick Mitchell surely has to be asking questions of why he wouldn't be selected for the England team, as his pace and trickery makes an excellent wing back. Lacroix's positioning and technical awareness makes him a great centre back. Mark Guehi, despite being only 25 years old, is already the club captain. He's just got such calm and composed nature for his age, and he's quite strong and positionally sound as well. You could also make another claim that he could be the starting centre back for England ahead of Maguire. Ismail Assar is a player who I can't tell whether is better on the wings or as a striker, but his performance in the Community Shield was immense as he had a SofaScore rating of 8.6. Jefferson Lerma is an aggressive defensive player who has transitioned from centre back to defensive midfielder under Palace. Eddie Nketiah, for me, well, he always tries for difficult goals on the angles and probably just needs to simplify his game in all honesty, and the goals will come. Eberechi Eze is more consistent in front of goal for an attacking midfielder, and I'm suspecting a breakthrough year for Mateus Franca. Of course, Mateta uses his physicality really well, hence his 14 goals last season. So yeah, just this side alone is reading absolute quality, and they will definitely be in a European challenge for me. I just think they may not have enough, a thick enough squad really to be able to focus on both the Premier League and the Conference League, and for that reason, Palace will finish in a respectable ninth place. Eighth, Fulham. I was really impressed in parts last season with Fulham's performances, where at times they looked a side who could achieve European football. Unfortunately, they drifted away and did finish mid-table, but I certainly think this side will be consistently asking questions of whether they can reach Europe this season. Certainly feels a long time ago now, doesn't it, that Fulham were a yo-yo team, and that is entirely down to one man, and that is Marco Silva, who took Fulham to a championship promotion and also an FA Cup quarterfinals and EFL Cup semi-finals. A possible cup success could give them European football next season. Bernd Leno is a goalkeeper I rated even during his time with Arsenal, but he was sidelined a lot of the time due to Ramsdale. Tete, if he can consistently stay throughout a season fully fit, then he can be a real asset in turning defence to attack. Bassi during 2021-22 was the best centre-back in the Europa League as he helped Rangers finish runners-up and has since then just grown from strength to strength. Joachim Anderson is a ball-playing centre-back who can, if need be, pull off a great long pass. Such an important player to have, really, isn't he? Harrison Reed is one of those amazing academy players from Southampton's academy that's just proven himself consistently at this level. Raul Jimenez can control the ball up header onto an unrushing attacker and bring others into play, but he can also score penalties. And with 12 goals last season, has proven himself a semi-consistent scorer at this level. Harry Wilson has probably never quite reached the heights that he did with Derby, but his set piece delivery is a reason alone to have him in the starting 11. Rodrigo Muniz certainly attempts the unthinkable at times, and that really does pay off. Tom Kearney is Fulham's captain and at times has been Fulham's best player, to be honest. And even though he is now 34, I think he maybe has another great season in his locker. Adama Traore is a strong player who can burst into the box, succeed in dribbles, and has the pace. The issue is that sometimes he is a little bit selfish, trying to take it on himself, and that has resulted in frustrating 2 goals last season. But this side is quality, and realistically, I think top half outside shout for Europe is likely for Fulham. 7th, Tottenham Hotspur. I do think last season was a fundamental underperformance for Spurs, caused by the far too expansive play of Postecoglou, which caused many injuries. They have now gone with a far more tactically aware Thomas Frank, who overachieved for years with Brentford, revolutionising that squad and performing at the top end. And this sort of overhaul is actually what is needed at Spurs. I don't actually think Son will be a miss, as he was quite inconsistent last season, and Højbjerg was not a top half Premier League standard player for me. Kudus is a great signing who can operate either as a right winger or as an attacking midfielder, so that is sort of a perfect replacement for Son, really. Matthias Tell, I feel, can play every position on the pitch, I'm not going to lie. Vuskovic is a towering centre back at 6'3", which makes him a real danger from set pieces, hence his 7 goals last season. Melia is a young player at 17, but has definitely got a player for the future there, because despite his tender age, he has shown a level of completeness for a striker that far surpasses his years. Palhinha is the epitome of a defensive midfielder, breaking up play and then being proficient in the pass to push the team forward. I think Spurs will be far better this season with a fitter squad, finishing inside a European position in 7th. 6th, Chelsea. One fundamental weakness within this squad is the right back position. With no guarantee that Reece James can make a whole season, I personally don't think Gusto is able to slot as an equivalently strong change. But they yet again have made substantial incomings in positions that they don't need, such as centre forward, without really addressing the areas of the squad that are notable weaknesses. Yes, they were over-reliant on Palmer for goals last season, but neither João Pedro or Liam Delap will be able to instantly make an impact in the goal-scoring department, as they probably need at least a season to adapt to that more high-pressurised environment that comes with being at Chelsea as opposed to, say, Brighton or Ipswich. I think it will be another strong season. I just think they have some key areas they need to address and some deadwood to clear. And as a result, I think 6th is a fair assessment for Chelsea. 5th, Nottingham Forest. I really don't want to say this, but last season we did see them almost reach the Champions League, and this season I do think they will actually make it. Nuno is known to be a manager who does a really good job with teams that don't have high expectations and get them competing for Europe. They have the best goalkeeper in the Premier League, and I hate to say it so, in Sells, but you cannot deny that he was a joint Golden Glove winner. I think whichever wingback Nico Williams isn't playing at will be a weakness, as I do not rate Aina, Omar Richards, or Moreira. I do think Awaniyi will have an unexpectedly great campaign. Overall, this side is actually good enough to finish in the Champions League places, although I would rather they be relegated. 4th, Aston Villa. Unai Emery has gotten Villa to the Champions League before, and I more than expect him to do so again. They have Emi Martinez, who won the World Cup in 2022, and at one point was considered the best goalkeeper in the world, and was still absolutely world class last season. I think Lucas Digne may end up dropping off a bit this season, but the rest of the back line is very strong with the likes of Cash, Konza, and Mings. Midfield is also strong with the experience of Ross Barkley, who is 31 despite being in the Premier League for like 15 years now. John McGinn as captain is a great Scotsman who can use his unusual style of running to slip past players and shield the ball, meaning he can usually carry the ball through the thirds rather than trying the difficult passes. That role is more done by Tielemans, who is a holding midfielder or a box-to-box midfielder, but attempts for longer pass or progressive passes, meaning that it can be a useful attacking midfielder. Emi Buendia tends to operate that space, though, with his ability to whip in a free kick, and in 2020-21 scored 15 goals from midfield in the championship, and has had a great pre-season. So if he can bring that into the league, we can see a player with a new lease of life. Ollie Watkins is your typical number 10, really, who scored double figures every season, whatever level he's been playing at since 2015-16, when he was only 19 years old. And this is including like 16 goals last season and 19 the season before, so he's not even had a drop off. He's one of those typical centre forwards. You just hope he doesn't get injured, because there is no one who comes close to his ability on like as an impact on the squad. I reckon a really strong season for Villa, returning to the Champions League under Emery Ball, finishing fourth. Third, Liverpool. They have lost a lot of quality this summer. Unfortunately, the death of Diogo Jota, I'm not going to be crass and rude about it, but it is going to be a massive miss. You know, he was a huge player in the dressing room, as somebody who was a great character, but he was also a great player as well. So he will be sadly missed. May he rest in peace, and thoughts go with his friends and family, of course, at this time. Trent Alexander-Arnold as well will probably forever go down as a Liverpool legend, despite how it ended. And I don't think Frimpong is as good as him, let's be honest. Luis Diaz is also a loss with his 13 goals from out wide last season. Like, Darwin Núñez may well have been memed upon for his lack of goals, but that is because Salah is a goal machine and Núñez is an unselfish player, often dragging players with him to enable Salah to burst into the box and score. I think they are still missing a left winger of Luis Diaz, as Cody Gakpo tends to hog the line a bit more and score a still decent 10 goals last season, but they won't be able to overpower the two wings like they did before. I think I don't know why I've said clock football there. It's slot football now. Relies a lot on the overloading of the wings, and they've lost their left winger and their left wing back. So I reckon a still decent but slightly worse season in third, as I think it will be an inconsistent start to the season, kicking on in December. Second, Arsenal. It comes as no surprise that I've gone for the perennial second place team with Arsenal. They've got a good side, don't get me wrong, but for midfield, that is a huge weakness. With other than Odegaard, who's more of an attacking player, a top class player with Norgard in defensive midfielder. He needs someone sitting beside him to press the ball forward, and something that Zubimendi can do, but that will take time to adapt to this league and the standard expected. But you've got signings like Gyökeres, who will aid with the goal scoring prowess of Gabriel Jesus, and the two great wingers in Saka and Martinelli. I think this side will make the title a close run thing. Just think yet again they will fall short. First, Manchester City. I reckon we'll see Haaland backfiring again, with Rodri back to fitness and Marmoush having had a settling in season. I do think he could be on fire this season. Trafford, I rate very highly and is young, so could possibly take over at number one at some point this season. The midfield is absolutely stacked, with a starting 11 which would be in the top five of any leagues with made just out of midfielders, right? You can make a starting 11 from midfielders that would probably finish in the top five of this league. You've got Reinders, Kovacic, Cherki, Doku, Rodri, Gundogan, Bernardo Silva, Savino, Núñez, and Foden. They're all midfielders, and you can't tell me that side will not be good enough to reach the top 5. Pet Roulette is bound to be back on, and I think we will see a consistent back three, though, of Ruben Diaz, John Stones, and Nathan Ake. This side just screams quality and will be back. And because they're absolutely desperate for a title after a poor season last season, and will be back with a bang. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe if you're new around here. That'd be hugely appreciated. I've got my predictions videos coming back. I think we had one last week. We're going to carry on and going on a week by week basis. We've got some FA Cup ones, which we're now doing this season. We're going to introduce Champions League and Europa League ones. So a lot of content coming at this channel. Slightly going to break the fourth wall now. Yes, this video was meant to be made 3 weeks ago. Half of it was corrupted. I've stuck as much to the script as I made for that time of the video. I'm aware now that Nuno has been sacked and replaced by Postecoglou, so that's going to completely change that one. I realise that Wolves have had a rubbish start to the season. You got to realise I don't want to change the predictions and feel like I'm flip-flopping based on a small sample size of only 4 games, but overall, I hope I've managed to maintain the integrity of the predictions, reading exactly what the script has said, exactly what I said in that previous lot of the video. So yeah, maybe might come and bite me on the rear end, but we'll see. But yeah, goodbye for now.